First became managing partner, I needed to find my own identity as managing partner, because I'd followed someone who had done a very good job in the role for 15 years, and so there were big shoes to fill, and like anyone, you want to make the best job of it. So I started to come along to the managing partners forum round tables, and they were really, really helpful, but there were a lot of people in the room, so that you couldn't necessarily have intimate, I suppose, conversations or ask people for guidance in that way. But I got very friendly with Richard Thorby. We just hit it off quite quickly, and occasionally at the beginning of the meeting we'd have a chat, and it was he that told me about the peer group. And I can remember that very first meeting where I walked in, and I think I must have said something that was a little bit without depth, in the sense of, I think they said, how are things at your firm? And I said, oh, business is great, we're in a really good place. And Richard immediately challenged that statement. And I thought, oh wow, I haven't felt like this for a while. but the support of everyone else in the room was fantastic, and I think from that moment I recognized the value of it, because that group can both challenge me and support me, and it's a really tough balance, but it really worked well.
It was really important to me that I found the right environment in terms of not only the people that I was spending time with, but the facilitator. So I really challenged myself to think about what I was going to get out of this session, and whether it was going to be a nice thing to do, a sort of popcorn moment, a nice movie to watch that I enjoyed and I could smile about later, or something that was going to add value and sort of expand my base of knowledge and my base of relationships and the way I was thinking about my job. And so I was almost critiquing the environment and the relationship with the facilitator.
So I was open ears really, and open-minded about going along to a session to see what it might be like. And I knew straight away it's something I thought I would benefit from, and also that Saffery Champness would benefit from too. So no, really, really positive first impressions, and actually really delighted to be part of that group from day one.
I was very interested to hear about the peer group and the fact that there are other managing partners or CEOs on there. It can be quite a lonely experience being a managing partner. So to be able to speak to people who are at a similar level at other organizations, I think is really useful and helpful. So when I first started, I always had high hopes for it. I joined for the first session, I was there as a guest, but I always thought it would be good to be able to connect with people of that level. But in reality, it's actually exceeded my expectations.
The reason I've stuck with the group that I'm now with, and I've spent, I think, the last year with, is because it met and exceeded some of those expectations. So for me, I had a group of people who were really different to me in terms of career path, thinking, mindset, communication style, and a facilitator who had the capability to sort of pull all of that together. And so for me, it's absolutely met my expectations, and in some ways it's exceeded my expectations, because it's given me access to a network of people who do the job that I now do, very different job to the one I've been doing in the past, but also to different styles of thinking about that job. So I know what a COO who's come up the finance route is thinking about in the context of their job. A COO who's come up through the marketing route is thinking about, and how that's different to me, someone who's come up into this role through the people route. So
we started off with a really tight-knit group of 3, and then now that's grown. And actually starting off with a smaller group allowed us to really get to know each other and build up really high levels of trust. So much so that, when we welcome new people in, there's that core of trust that we can then extend out to the new members.
And it also allows us to discuss issues we might not necessarily be able to discuss with our peers within the firm. So I consider it a very useful, safe space to talk about things. And I find them hugely beneficial. In fact, they're the most useful meeting I have on a monthly basis. And I make sure I always attend them, and I'll never, ever cancel, or I'll never not attend unless I've got a really, really good reason not to.
The really good thing about having that belonging to a peer group has been I've made some really deep friendships along the way. So people that I'm in that peer group with are my friends, truly, in every sense of the word, as well as my colleagues and my trusted peer group members. And even though we only meet every now and again through the mentoring program, we've met outside as well, and we can touch base with each other and ask each other questions. And
at the beginning of the lockdown, we were looking at all costs because we just didn't know where things were going to go. And so one of the things that came across the table was the membership of the Managing Partners Forum and the peer group. And I felt quite responsible about that, because that was really, for me as managing partner, and I didn't think that I didn't think that I could justify that level of expenditure when considered some of the other cuts we were making across the business. But having reflected on it and having discussed it with a few of my partners, the decision was quite easy to make. Well, certainly they made it on my behalf. I said, do you get value out of it? Yes. Does it help you to make decisions? Yes. Well, then it benefits the firm. Just do it.
What I've really learned as a professional actually throughout the pandemic is that some things are better face-to-face and some things can work beautifully in a virtual format. And actually what I found myself is coaching and mentoring can work really well remotely. And I think that the way Richard facilitates the group can work really well in the remote.
Every time there's a change of member, it's a new group, and that's what we all understand, and we have to come to a new way of working together. But it works. Richard's facilitation, I would say, does a lot for it, but we're all of a mindset where we want it to work, and so we welcome anyone coming in with open arms and do whatever we can to help them to blend, create the new group.
It's like professional group therapy. So there's a sort of emotional and motivational support angle to this, getting into a room of people and realizing you're not mad, you're doing this great stuff, and carry on. But equally, it's a group of people who make you look good to your board, because they'll come up with 2 ideas that you haven't thought of yet. You get to take those away and have a conversation with people internally. So yeah, I'd say do it because it's great emotional and motivational support, and do it because it's great technical and content support.
I always look forward to those sessions and come away having learned something every single time, and something different to what I expected as well every time, I would say.
No matter what role you have, what position, what station you have in life, I'm talking from a personal experience here now, you still need support. And I think that, I'm fortunate I have a friendly firm, my partners are supportive, but at the same time, in the role that we have, there are certain things that I can't take support from my partners from. And that's where the peer group plays a very valuable part, because I trust the people in that group enormously, and they trust me as well. And in your low points, they're there to put an arm around your shoulder. In your high points, they're there to support you, praise you, keep your feet on the ground as well. So
it's the most important meeting of my month that I should attend. I really enjoy the peer group sessions, and I think they deliver a lot of value for me and for the firm.
The peer group, a facilitated peer group, you have somebody who challenges your thinking, who might help you to take a deeper dive into some issues. And also sometimes it's a really good space that you can have a space for reflection